Time for an update. Remember the last time we talked? I did a part one where I went over this incident in Milwaukee where a special needs man was choked. Now, I did a forensic examination, brought new evidence about this case, and then we wanted to find out what happened next. Well, this is what happened if you have been looking at this case. This was a case of the Milwaukee Strangler. The new evidence I discovered, it was the last thing we talked about. But I want you to find out what exactly has been going on since this was released. It was first brought to the world's attention by this man right here, Deangelo Wright, who was a good Samaritan passing by who saw this incident happen. And he said that when he watched this incident happen, the following things occurred to him. He saw this person named Robert holding a young man tightly by the neck, refusing to release him and calling the police. And then he did something that a lot of people don't do. He took action. His account of the incident was that the young man that was being choked was shaking. He didn't really know what was going on. And like he was very confused of what was happening to this young man who was being choked. He says, I was telling everyone, God puts you in a situation for a reason. And I think that's why I was there for this young man's sake. Now, I want you to hear yourself from Deangelo to see exactly what he said happened as we get this breaking update. This is what he said.
And he had one of the younger boys by their neck, like kind of strangling them. So I got out of the truck and I approached him, and that's kind of when I started recording him, because there's no reason why this man should be grabbing this boy by the neck.
That is how you take action. Deangelo Wright is a hero, a good Samaritan who took action when he saw something go wrong. He didn't only pick up his cell phone and be a voyeur and record it. He intervened, stopping this young man with special needs from being choked. This is what we have to remember. But what other actions occurred afterwards? What was the effect of his actions? Well, this is what happened since this was released to the public. Protesters took over South Milwaukee streets after the video of this man choking the special needs man was broken to the public. Who started this aspect of this event? Well, let me introduce you to the person behind it. This is the activist Vaun Mayes. Vaun Mayes said, I'm going to also do my part. He did the work afterwards. And this is exactly what he did. This is from the words of Mr. Vaun Mayes himself.
To grab someone by their throat, who he didn't even know if that kid was the kid who stole a bike allegedly, or what was going on, but you immediately went to that level of violence. That has a racial component.
So, as we heard there, the person who organized the protest was Vaun Mayes, who took action afterwards. Now, the police responded to this event after it was released to the public and after the protest started. Let me tell you what happened within 48 hours. 48 hours after this event occurred, a snippet from the police report, it was stated that it was challenging to obtain details of the incident that occurred on October 10th, 2022. The 24-year-old made noises and pointed to his neck and said words, bikes, the complaint read. Later, officers were informed by family members of the man that was choked, the victim, that his mental capacity was of a 5-year-old. This man who was choked in the video was informed by law enforcement that his mental capacity was that of a 5-year-old, meaning that he would not have understand the complexities of the allegations being posed against him as he was being assaulted in the video that we all saw. Now, let me tell you what else happened. After that, his mother spoke out about this event. This is what she said.
They just don't understand how this feels to me.
Burke's mother says her son has the mental capacity of a 5-year-old and pushed for charges.
Grandma don't even like talking about it because it hurts him too. And it just not affected me, it affected my whole family. What if he would have killed my son? What if my son would have had a seizure or something?
As Tracy Burks and Trayvon embrace, they say their lives won't ever be the same. 62-year-old Robert Walzakowski was in court Wednesday afternoon for an initial hearing on his disorderly conduct charges. When questioned if Walzakowski regretted putting his hands around Burks' neck,
Robert, do you feel any remorse?
we got no answer. Burks' cousin Terrell Thomas shares his frustrations with what he says is a lack of punishment for the 62-year-old.
Powerful words. I felt that. Did you feel that? What if he had killed her son? What if he had had a seizure? This was so familiar to me. It reminded me of the George Floyd incident a few years ago. And do you remember when you watched that video and you saw the police officers with their knee on his neck and he was begging his mother to help him before he himself became deceased from that incident? And you watched and the people on the sidelines were yelling and you felt so helpless. You wanted to take action. Well, although this young man didn't die, it still brought up the same feelings of hopelessness and also feeling that you couldn't take any action. You just wanted to help this man. That's what she is saying. And I really felt that. Now, I want to talk about what happened after this. So finally, the greatest update you can hear, you're about to find out. After she did this, after the protest, after all this was released to the public, then something magnificent happened. What it took was Chief Jeffrey Norman and District Attorney John Chisholm to decide that they was going to take action and move all this incident. And the action they took were charges were filed.
The 62-year-old is facing a $1,000 signature bond and is required to be processed at the Sheriff's Department by Monday.
According to the most recent update, the attorney's office decision was to formally charge Robert in this incident. This was a combined effort of the chief of police and the police department in Milwaukee and the district attorney in prosecuting this case. This is what the headline said. Milwaukee DA will charge LA man for choking man in the video with special needs. This is the update that we've been waiting to see. What would happen from flipping off middle fingers and choking special needs people to being prosecuted for this crime? He will appear in court, which has already happened. Now, it was stated by this man right here, Juan Miguel Martinez, who is Milwaukee County Supervisor, something that I think we all will agree with. Unfortunately, it does not come as a surprise that these kinds of situations still occur in our city. There are 3 aspects of this video I would like to unequivocally condemn. First, the use of a chokehold in any form is thoroughly unacceptable. Second, acting aggressively toward a member of the Black community and accusing them of a crime that they were allegedly near is an example of vigilantism and racism that is truly disgusting. Finally, assaulting a member of our community who has a disability is something that should never be tolerated. This was his statement. And I think that we all can agree with those 3 points that he made about that video that we watched. We can't stand for these things. We can't be voyeurs. You have to take action, and that's what happened here. According to recent research on this matter, there has been an uptick in white supremacist activity which is linked to the incidents. And these incidents are racist notes denouncing blacks. And this is just the start. There's been an increase of racist threats being made against local activists. But I want to share with you, now that we know the update on the case, some of the retaliatory aspects that have occurred that are really shocking that you should know about. This is a mural of George Floyd, which, as I stated earlier, also happened in this state a couple of years ago, which caused nationwide protest. Now, there is an artist standing here, and this artist is one of the many artists who helped to contribute to this large mural in this town. But something happened that you need to know about. There was a mural made of George Floyd on the corner of East North Avenue, and this was in the state. And in 2020, over 30 community members and artists participated in creating this beautiful mural. Now, the artist you see here is working on his space, but this is a combined effort to bring the community together and honor the life of George Floyd and the lives lost to police brutality. Now, this mural was recently vandalized after this incident occurred where the young man was choked, and then it was restored. But this is a bigger issue because not only was it vandalized once, it was vandalized twice in the same week.
A message Friday afternoon, just hours after the second vandalism of a George Floyd mural in Milwaukee in less than a week.
Cowards have patterns, and honestly, I wasn't surprised. I kind of thought it might happen again. This vandalism is reminiscent of other cowardly acts that you could extrapolate all the way to the KKK, burning crosses in yards, other spray painting, leaving nooses. We're not intimidated, we're not scared. This mural has stood here for 2 years to date without being vandalized.
Community supporters say this comes at such a pivotal time for the city. And this community wants the vandals to choose love over hate.
We want to speak to you and ask you to stop, because whatever the reason is, hatred, self-hatred, I don't want to put any labels on it other than that it's evil.
Although we saw clearly a man with special needs choked and falsely accused of a crime, hurt and injured by another person on camera, still retaliation is happening, targeting minorities, and to add insult to injury, tack on this mural that was made for George Floyd, which represents a lot for everyone who witnessed this event where a man died. And this is happening right now. Imagine what's happening in the dark when no one else is looking. I showed you a forensic examination in my first video. So just so you know, I did the same thing here, and there's something you might not have noticed. I put a big arrow, and there was a sign that was on this defacing of the mural. Now, if you can't read it, I highlighted it here and blew it up, and it says, "White privilege doesn't exist." John 3:16. Vandals who defaced the mural stated that they're going to damage this mural and also take another shot saying that white privilege doesn't exist. A statement that is being made here. This is the problem that we have. When you finish watching this video, don't just watch and say, hey, it's over with. We need to go ahead and acknowledge individuals who were instrumental in seeing this come to fruition. So I want to highlight this because I think it's important. I want to talk about our heroes, and we need to take note. Dominic Whitehurst, he's one of the artists seen here in the George Floyd mural. This is doing his part to combat this problem that we see happening in this state. I also want to shout out Chris Burke, another artist who's seen here also adding to this mural. Remember, there's 30 artists, so I'll only name 2, but I just want to shout those individuals out because they're participating in this and they're making sure that they're doing their part. We all can do our own part. Also, A third artist, you saw the video, Samuel Alfred. He's an artist who is showing the damage of the mural for the second time in 1 week since the incident of the young man being choked. We also need to take note of our hero, Deangelo Wright, the Good Samaritan who stopped when he saw someone in need and didn't just record, he took action. We need to think about Tracy Burks, the mother of the young man that we saw who was a victim of a violent assault, and her pain. Also, her activism. We need to talk about and praise Vaun Mayes for organizing the protest, which is the constitutional right as American citizens to protest such things and to take action when others simply watched. This is activism. This is what we all can take note from. Juan Miguel Martinez, he also Milwaukee County Supervisor, making a statement showing that the community stands behind the efforts to properly investigate and prosecute this case. And that spoke volumes. And not last and not least, but quite importantly, the chief of police in that town, Chief Jeffrey Norman, and District Attorney John Kisholm, who also investigated and prosecuted the man seen choking the special needs child. This is how we get things done legally, constitutionally, and peacefully. And this is what our country is about. I hope that you enjoyed this update. Do me a favor. When you see this video, I will tag every name that you see here. Tag, share the video, and do your part. That's how you take action. Be active. Don't just watch. Let's post this to the police department in Milwaukee. Let's post this to Deangelo, who stood up. Every single person, I'm going to tag their name. Let's make that the hashtag. Take action. And let's make sure we continue to do these types of things the right way, the American way. This has been the Underdog Research Channel. Thank you for watching.